Hey folks, we're back here at the shop. We took our 289 down to the other shop and we stuck everything in the vat. A vat, for those of you who don't know, is just a big acid tank that basically degreases, eats all the grease and the slime and the crud off of the components. So we went ahead, we also took our pistons off of our connecting rods, we pressed those off of there, and of course we threw the old pistons away because we don't want to reuse those. Our cylinder heads also went through the vatting process. They have not been disassembled yet. I like to disassemble them after the vatting process, and they look pretty clean. The only thing I'm worried about is this cylinder here, and this is the one that had all the rust in it. So in a future video, we're gonna take this apart, wire brush these areas real good, and we're gonna go ahead and magnaflux these. These cylinder heads have a tendency to crack in between the seats here, and it's showing some evidence of some rust and some buildup there. That's a little troubling. So we're definitely going to want to take a good look at that and check it out. Our cylinder block has also been vatted. It's gone through the vatting process, and I also went ahead. I put a bore gauge in the cylinders on this and determined that the cylinders definitely need to be bored out. So we bored the cylinders 30 thousandths oversized. We bored and honed them. We're still going to do some cleanup on the deck and a few other touch-up things on this block before we're finished. We have our sheet metal here as well. We've added our oil pan and our valve covers. Normally we would replace this stuff with maybe a chrome oil pan or a custom oil pan and some aluminum valve covers. But this customer is building a numbers matching Mustang, and so he wants everything original. But you can see the inside of these are very clean. This is what it needs to look like. You don't ever want to put dirty components back on an engine. We also have our intake manifold that went through the vatting process. It still needs a little more cleaning done to it, some wire brushing and scraping and so forth, but for the most part we've got it fairly decently clean. So we've got all of our major components here that we had go through the vatting process and some machining, and we'll be ready to do some more preparation and hopefully some assembly soon. So if you are building a 289 or 302 or any motor for that matter, once you get it disassembled like we did in our other videos, one of the main things you need to do is get this out to a machine shop. I own my own vat and boring equipment, so I could do it myself. But if you don't own that, you need to get this stuff to a machine shop, and you need to have them clean this. You don't ever want to take these parts to a car wash. I've seen guys do that. You don't ever want to take these parts and try to wire brush the grit and grease off of them or use gasoline or something of that nature. You actually need chemical, vat chemical, to clean this stuff. There are some other cleaning processes that use an oven and a blasting machine, and those are available too. But again, that's equipment that the average person is not going to have, so you need to take it to a shop and have that done. The other thing that we've done, now that I've got the block bored to 30 over, so I know what sizes they are, we need to think about getting our parts. Now, another thing we did is we had the crankshaft reground. This is our 289 crankshaft here. And we'll set this down here. And what we did is they set this up on a crank grinding machine, and they ground the journal sizes 10 thousandths undersize. What that does is that gets rid of any wear or taper on this journal. And it's very simple, because then when you buy your parts, you just buy bearings that are designed to work with a 10 thousandths undersized main journal and rod journal, and it works out really well. So we also had the crank vatted, and we had this reground to an undersize, so it's freshly machined and ready to go. Once we got the block machined and had the crank ground, then we were able to buy this baby here. Now, it's always a good idea to do this. This is our master engine kit. Comes in its own nice box here. And we got this master engine kit from Engine and Performance Warehouse. They have a lot of locations around the country, and again, they're not paying me for this, but I really like Engine and Performance Warehouse. They're
I buy a lot of parts from them, and so they're a great supplier. And these are their locations here all over the country. And unfortunately, unless you have a machine shop business or that type of business, they won't sell to you. But they are a great supplier. So this is our master engine kit here. We've got a set of lifters, of course. We've got our camshaft in here, new timing chain and gear set, a new oil pump. We got a set of cam bearings that we're going to be installing. We've got our main bearings and our rod bearings. Then these are, remember the crank was ground 10 under. So if you look at these, it's 10 thousandths under. It's the part number and then it's denoted by a 10. So those are 10 thousandths under bearings. We got our block plugs that we're going to be putting in the block to replace all the plugs that we took out. And then of course we have a new piston ring set here, set of rings and our pistons. This is our new piston. We're putting back in a flat top with 4 route valve reliefs just like it came out of it. And then of course underneath there we have a gasket set as well, a full gasket set with all the gaskets in it. It's not a good idea to buy these components individually. You don't want to go down to the local parts store and buy a gasket set and then a week later buy a set of rings and then order a camshaft somewhere else. You don't really want to do that because you're going to end up paying a lot more money. It's always less expensive to get yourself what we call a master engine rebuild kit, and that's what we've done here. These parts would probably end up being twice as much money had we just bought them individually. So find out who sells a master engine kit. They do sell them online as well. It is definitely the best way to go. So once you get your sizes, now you don't want to buy that master engine kit until you have your crankshaft reworked or you know what size the crankshaft's going to end up being. Even if it stays standard size and you just polish these, and even if you just hone the bore and it's still a standard size bore, you don't want to buy the kit until after you get those parts. Simply because you won't know what size bearings and what size pistons and rings to buy. So that's basically it. We're going to start bringing all this stuff together here real soon in some future videos, and so this will get you started. If you're building one of these, this is a very important step. Get everything vatted, have the machine shop do their thing, and then get it back home so you can start working on it. And I'll see you soon.